apocalypse and greetings. This is the Underground Report. How you doing all out there this week? And this is from an undisclosed location somewhere deep in the heart of the city. I hope everybody's doing well after the weekend. Today's subject is going to be really interesting. We're going to take a look at the stage that is being sent all over the world, that we're seeing on our TVs and hearing on our radios. And you know, it's really interesting how all the world is truly a stage. Have you ever questioned the mainstream news and reports? If you have not, then you should think about it. If you have, good for you. And hopefully after this report, you'll be asking some more questions. You might be by the time we're finished. So let's get right down to business and get started today. We've seen a lot of activity going on in Afghanistan, across the world, over in the Middle East. We've seen pictures of airplanes with people running beside them. We've seen babies handed over, walls supposedly. So let's get into it. Let's get in, break each thing down. I'll tell you the history, a little bit of our country and how they've been guilty of, you know, kind of, let's say, fixing the facts before as far as media goes. So I'll give you a couple examples of that. And then as always, in the bottom below, you can see where the comments are. You can ask questions. I'll write any of our references today in our description section, and I'll put links down below in the comments. I don't like to put them in the description section only because it helps us with the whole process of, you know, going through any kind of censorship. So I'm going to do that for you guys. I'll put them down below. And you know, if you are a subscriber to Little Wing One, check your subscriptions, because I've been hearing stories of people that have been being unsubscribed. You know, I wonder how that happened. Well, find out. Check and see and make sure you're still getting me on your feed as far as the episodes that come up. And if you're not, check your subscriptions and see if you're unsubscribed. Super important. I don't know why they target me. I'm such a little fish, but you never know. You know, they don't want things like this getting out there. So, you know, make sure to check. So let's get right down to business. The alleged C-17 transport plane that you saw, remember the famous video on all of the news feeds where they were just playing it on loop of people chasing after planes and holding on to the side of it. I had some questions about that. You know, are they expecting us to assume that people would be hanging on to an outside of a plane to see if they actually would survive a flight through the air? I don't know. I'm willing to give human beings a little more credit than that, just a tad, a little bit, to say that, you know, if I hang on to this plane long enough, I'm going to die. I'm just thinking, you know, I mean, they're wanting us to believe one thing. Meanwhile, people are running by the camera laughing and hey, and, you know, like this is one big photo op. And I'm going to show you some pictures. So I'm going to put graphics up here. And anytime I read something, I'm going to put it down here for you to follow along. I've kind of done a little bit of research, and you should do this too, to see what these transport planes really look like as opposed to what we were seeing on TV. Yeah, it's really close, but there are some little differences that you can see. And if you look at the pictures, you make the call. I'm going to let you guys make the decisions. I'm going to let you guys ask the questions. I'm just going to show you some things, interesting things that I've seen. And this is a website that I'm going to put down below for a link. And so you can see the difference in the planes, the difference in the numbers. Notice if you look at the cargo plane that was shown on TV, it had the letters 9/11 backwards. And that's one thing I found interesting in this whole thing, is that they keep bringing up 9/11, 9/11. Why are they doing that? Are they trying to cause fear and panic in people? We've already got enough of that going around with this virus that's happening, and they're wanting people to have, you know, this ongoing fear. Why would they want to do that? Also, the babies that were handed over, supposedly they kept saying, Oh, they're being handed over barbed wire. Oh, they're being handed over razor wire. I only was able to see maybe one, maybe two videos, one of a child and one of a baby that was being handed up very carefully and being picked up by a soldier. And what happened was below that, in the comments, in the information below that from the source, from the news source, said that that child was returned back to the parents. So the question is, everybody, if you watch that video and you listen very closely, and listening is very important too, because you're going to catch some stuff. And listening to that, I actually heard people laughing in the background. It wasn't screaming and crying. Now, am I saying that everything that's happening is staged? I am not saying that. I am saying that if you want to take everything as the gospel truth, then you're going to run into trouble, because some things are definitely being used as, a way to propagate and put forward a narrative. Now, are we willing to say that the U.S. government had no idea that any of this was going to happen with all of its surveillance and all of its technology? I'm not willing to say that. In fact, I'm willing to say the opposite. There was a lady that I was listening to, and I'll put the information down below here, on a Tucker Carlson show, that was saying, that's ridiculous to think that the U.S. government is not knowing what's happening and not allowing it to happen. That's insane. Okay, we have more surveillance and more information. Not only that, remember, the Taliban was built as a response in Afghanistan to the war on terror that Bush had started. And we had armed the rebels. They called them rebels at that time. We had armed them. We had given weapons. We had built up a resistance army to what was going on to Osama bin Laden and his army. And to fight Russia. That was there. We built up a resistance to fight Russian forces, and Russia was forced to leave. So don't be ridiculous in thinking that the U.S. is inept, we don't know what's happening, we just, we were caught unaware. That's ridiculous. And the fact that we are acquiescing to say we need to have our people out of there by a date, that's crazy too. You never negotiate with a terrorist organization. And so the question remains, what we are seeing being orchestrated? That's a good question. And has the U.S. done that before? That's a good question. So what I did is I did some digging, and I have some information to give you at this point. I'm going to suggest, and it's up to you, that you question everything at this point. Is what's being put out there, is that the truth, or is it for nefarious purposes? To scare people into a conclusion, or to give you a narrative that might not be exactly what's happening? Question everything and then back it up with research. Not the research that you find on Wikipedia, okay, or on Snopes, which is known, those are known sources to be bent a certain way. Go into the information in the history, alternative, any kind of alternative sources that you can read that are actually an account of the incident. Find out for yourself, unless you just want to be lazy and just live off of sound bites, and you're perfectly, you're perfectly fine to do that, except for a few things. You're going to have a cognitive dissonance, which tells you, you know what, this is way too much, and I just don't want to hear any of it anymore, and I'm done, and I'm just going to go along with whatever they tell me. Or you're going to have so much fear and anxiety that you don't do anything but stay inside. I know people like that too, that have completely isolated themselves. They run around, with all this protective gear on. They get back in their car and they're gone. They're not out there. They're not. And human beings weren't made to do that. Human beings were made for relationship. We're made to spend time with other human beings. So don't let them scare you. Don't let them tire you to a point where you don't want to find out anything on your own. Because remember, knowledge is power. And on this channel, we make sure to at least suggest that you question what you're seeing, question what you're reading. Don't just go along with the main narrative. The main narrative is known to be a propaganda machine, which is what I'm going to give you next. So, did this happen purposefully? The answer is yes, according to the research. Could the U.S. have prevented this? Of course. They could prevent it right now. They could go in there with the military and they can prevent it. They're not doing that. The question is why. What is the stage being set for? Now that's a good question. What is it being set for? Because I'm looking around and I'm seeing Donald Trump being brought back and propped up. I'm seeing Joe Biden being thrown under the bus, not only by our media, which is crazy. This is the same media that was holding Joe Biden up as a media darling a couple weeks ago, remember? Now all of a sudden he's anti-American and he's blowing it. Excuse me, this is a man that cannot string a sentence together. So you're telling me he's in charge of the whole thing? You can think that if you want, but I'm going to argue to the opposite. Okay, so during my research and trying to answer the question, has the U.S. done this before? I found out some fascinating things, guys. First of all, did you know that, and I'm going to show you some pictures up here that are pretty incredible, okay? So, do you know that the U.S. during World War II had a fake setup army that was inflatable? I know, crazy, right? Look up here. I'm going to show you some guys that are just lifting up tanks. They were inflatable tanks, guys. They had an entire military army set up that was fake to fool the Nazis, and it was called the Ghost Army. I've never even heard of this before, but guess what? You can find it if you look online, and I'm going to put some links up to it too if you want to do research on your own. It was called the Ghost Army during World War II. We used inflatable tanks, sound trucks, and fake radio transmissions known as tactical deception. And you know that what we did is we set up all these inflatable tanks and we made sound effects and we did fake radio transmissions so that the Nazi army, the German army thought, oh, you know, they've got an army down there, we better not attack. This is crazy. There were more than 20 incidents where these things were staged. And there's pictures up here of guys, you know, lifting parts off of tanks and lifting tanks up and making fun of it. There's one where this guy was just lifting up a tank and like turning it over and stuff. So I was floored when I saw this. I couldn't believe it. So could we, with our technology, put up staged events like maybe a cargo plane? Of course we could. Don't be silly. If you look in that cargo plane in that picture where those guys were running along, you see there's something by the front wheel. And it's like a box that's going along. First of all, the wheel in the front, the landing gear, is not in the same place as a regular cargo plane would be. And also the turbine that's inside of where the wing is, you cannot see it. And you can see it on a regular cargo plane. Now, is this a dummy? I don't know. But it's good to question, isn't it? And it's good to look at the pictures, and it's good to know that they had 9/11 backwards on the edge of that. What are they programming us to remember and think? Okay? They're telling us that people are flying out of the sky because they're hanging on to the gear. They're saying that body parts were inside the landing gear. We don't know that happened, other than that's what we heard. So was that tactical deception for us? That's a good question, and it's good to research these things. Okay, the next thing was we had declassified certain files on different wars. The next one I'm going to show you is called Operation Mockingbird, and you can look this up yourself. It's widely available. Don't look on Wikipedia. Look on some sites that talk about Operation Mockingbird and what happened when the CIA was infiltrated the mainstream media for propaganda purposes. So we know, because this is unclassified information from the government, not because I'm saying it, that the CIA was able to put propaganda into our media. So we know that our media has been compromised. It's very widely found. It's not hidden anywhere. It's just for you to research on your own. Also, we need to mention the Gulf of Tonkin incident. The Gulf of Tonkin incident is what started the Vietnam War, guys. There was a quote by the president at the time that said, you know, after all this came out, and this is also unclassified files, that attack was fake. The reports were fake. That a destroyer, a U.S. destroyer, was being attacked by Vietnam armies, and that they found out that that was falsified. The president at the time, and I'm going to put it up here, said, I don't even know if they were out there shooting at whales or what. Excuse me? If you live anywhere near where I live, you see headstones of soldiers. Headstone after headstone after headstone. Some of these guys were 17, 18-year-olds that went over there and fought and died. Some of them changed for the rest of their life. Their minds destroyed, their bodies destroyed. Okay? And this was all because of a falsified report. Are you kidding? So what happened with that was that the government claimed that in 1964, the USS Maddox, which was a Navy destroyer, okay, it was attacked by North Vietnam torpedo boats. 2 days later, another attack, they said, happened. They said, we're being attacked. We're under fire. A resolution of war was declared, okay, which gave them the right to send many, many troops, to draft people, to send people over to war. The early 2000s declassified the documents for that war, and they were released to show that no attacks on U.S. officials happened, and they lied for political gain. You lied, and all of those men were killed and maimed and destroyed. How dare you? These people are going to be accountable for those actions, I'm telling you, either in this life or the next. So don't think that nothing's going to happen to these people. And if you are a veteran and you're watching this, I'm sorry that happened to you. I'm sorry how you were treated when you got back. And thank you for your service that you went over there. It wasn't your fault that your government lied. Okay? We're a military family, and my son is also a vet, so my heart goes out to you, and I pray for you. Don't lose heart if you're in this war right now, or you were over in Afghanistan. Don't lose heart and think that it was all for nothing, that the sacrifice of your friends was for nothing. I know how that, I don't know personally, but I understand how that could happen. And I say to you, from this house at least, thank you for being available to go over and defend us. Doesn't matter that what your government has done or hasn't done. The point is that we appreciate you, no matter what your government does or says. So know that from here, from the bottom of my heart, I say that in this family. The government has a list of exposed false flags events that are extensive. So it is a fact that whoever controls the narrative controls the world. Did you know that? If they control the narrative, then they control the world. They control what you see. They can stage whatever events they want to happen, whether that's crisis actors that they've had in the newspaper advertised or online advertised for crisis actors to go and pretend like they're victims in some sort of an attack, some sort of chemical warfare attack. We found that to be in Syria, that there was some questionable things happening there. Why do they keep mentioning 9/11? And I think we answered that pretty well, to keep you in fear, to keep you under control, to keep you going to the government to protect you. so that they can take care of you, so that they can promise you safety. But remember, that safety comes at a cost. You are giving up part of your sovereignty or your security or your information. You're giving that up. When you offer your body as an experiment under some kind of medical premises that they're saying, and that's in our next video, don't trust the government agencies to say that, you know, something's safe now according to a government alphabet agency. Now, it's okay for me to go out and get this. You know, the government has an extensive list of practicing on its civilians, whether that was LSD experiments, whether that was some kind of chemical experiments during the war with Agent Orange, whatever it is. Do you know that the government right now is threatening farmers? They're saying, you need to destroy your crops or we're going to spray them with Agent Orange. Excuse me? Didn't Agent Orange cause a lot of problems during the Vietnam War? What about the people in the surrounding areas? It's a nerve agent. So don't trust the government when they're telling you, oh, we're going to keep you safe. Just trust us. If you want to go ahead and you want to do that, that's completely up to you. You are your own person. But I would suggest to you that you do some of the research. Look up some of these links that I'm giving you, because you will have some questions by the end of it if you do. And, you know, the fact is that we don't have to know everything that's happening. We don't have to know, there's no way we can know every single little thing that's happening. But what I want you to do is I want you to stay aware. And I want you to pay attention. Don't just go along watching Netflix and sitting on your couch and going to your job and just pretending like life is normal and the government's going to protect you, because you are not in their best interest. Just saying. You're expendable and you are not in their best interest. So you have to be a self-advocate and you have to research. Okay, so what we're going to do is, you know, it's easy to have a fatalist attitude when you're hearing all of this, saying, oh, what's it all for? You know, they're just against us. They're going to, you know, do all these things anyway. Who cares? I'm tired. I don't want to hear anymore. Know this, that the God of the universe has this in his sights. He sees everything that is done in the secret places, the Bible says, and he's going to expose it. Things that are done in the secret are going to be shouted from the rooftops. People are going to be judged who think that they're being secretive, and they are going to be brought into the light. Well, let's look at a scripture that talks about just that, and this deals with a lot of the secret society stuff, these elitists set at the top who are running the game, who are telling everybody what to do. Don't be silly in thinking that if somebody's in power, that they're just a Lone Ranger out there. They are controlled. I don't care who it is. If you're famous, if you're on, you know, some type of politician that's in power, some type of celebrity, some type of sports star, there is a price they have to pay for that fame. Don't be silly in thinking there isn't. Okay, so Ephesians 5:12-16, we're going to go and we're going to look there. I'm going to put it down here and I'm going to put it up here. If you do not have a Bible, I'm so glad you're here. It's totally fine. Follow along. And I'm going to give you some information and you can look on it, look for it yourself if you so choose. So Ephesians 5:12-16, let us go there. This talks about God bringing things to light that are supposedly hidden. And so here's what it says. It says, for it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. This is behind closed doors, okay? But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. So there is things that are done in the secret, behind closed doors, that God sees. We might not be able to see them. We're only called to stand our ground and to watch. God will be the one who judges. God will be the one who sees. Let's go to another one, and this is in Luke. We're going to go Luke 8, and I'll put it down here once again and up here. 8:17. And what it says is, this is another one about things being secret and being brought out. It says, for nothing is secret that will not be revealed. Doesn't that make you feel a little bit of, a little bit better as far as, oh, these people are doing all these things, they're never going to be held accountable? Yeah, they are. That's what the Bible says. It says, let me read it again, okay? For nothing that is secret, nothing is secret that will not be revealed, or anything hidden that will not be known and come to light. Okay? That means that God's watching. God's keeping an account. And the account of these people's deeds is being written down and chronicled. And they will be judged for it in the end. They will be standing before the judge of the universe, and they will have to answer for their actions. They think that they are above everything, and that we're just down here, we're little nothing, the masses, the profane masses. But I tell you what, they are going to be held account for what they do, because we matter. We are made in God's image, we are important, and we matter, no matter what they think or who's in charge. God sees what is done behind closed doors and will judge them, and we need to trust God only. Don't trust in your politicians. Don't trust in your news sources. Don't trust in your elections. We'll just elect the right people in. Everybody that is put into office is placed there. This thing in California that's going on with the governor, the next person will be placed there, or he'll be placed there again. The thing that's going on in New York, we've got a new lady that's governor there. She's doing the same things as the old governor. There's that song, that song from The Who, the old boss, the same as the new boss, and it just goes on and on. The people that are in charge and the God of this world, who happens to be Satan, according to the Bible, he has people in charge until God will judge the earth, because God is in ultimate control, not Satan. Satan might be running the world for a time, but he knows his time is short. So do not trust your leaders. They are known liars. Do not trust them to protect you. They have no problem killing people to do it. Okay? Whatever you might think about 9/11, there's some serious questions going on there about, buildings falling the way they shouldn't have fallen, things being reported beforehand, weapons not materializing that we were supposed to be going in to find. So, there's plenty of questions out there for you to have a red flag, so to speak. They are known liars, and there is no reason to trust them. They are known liars. How many times have you been told something only to have it not happen? Only to have it not, any campaign promises, although, a lot of people say, oh, well, Trump did everything, that he said he was going to do. There's some serious questions there as well. Okay, guys? I heard a speech the other day by him telling you, yeah, your freedoms are important, but you need to get this shot. Are you how can you just let that go over without questioning it? I'm just asking you, put your trust in God, not in government, not in the world, not in the media, not in the news, not in any kind of sports figure or celebrity or singer. Put your trust in God. He's the one that's going to take care of you. He has a plan for us. He has a future for us. We need to trust him, and we need to put our trust in him, because he said, I will keep you from the hour of trial. Keep is a military word. Speaking of military, it's a term that means fortress. Okay? It's a protection term. So trust him on that. To you veterans out there, I'm praying for you. Thank God for you. God has a plan for you as well. Don't give up. Don't be dismayed. Don't be depressed. I know that's easy to fall into that. I have a son who's a veteran. Trust God. Put your life in the trust of God. That's who you serve. And if you put your trust in him, that is. If not, there's all kinds of things that can happen, and I hope it doesn't happen to you. Anyway, with all of this, we have a report coming up too on all of our alphabet agencies that are approving things, and that's coming up next. So join us next time. And with that, may God bless you, may God keep you, and until our next report, make sure that you're checking your subscriptions, because once again, like I say, we're having some funny business happening here, some monkey business happening where people are being unsubscribed. And also, one thing too I noticed, I'm not getting my comments. They're telling me I have no comments, and then I go on my information on the videos and I'm seeing people remark. So I'm trying to keep up with that, and I'm trying to check that. If for some reason I miss somebody, that's probably why. But, you know, I check them regularly. So with all that being said, may God bless you, may God keep you, and I will see you next time. This is Little Wing One, signing out. Bye-bye.